Okay, story time. This was a French company, and this French company had some big machinery because it did stuff like dig tunnels and move dirt and stuff like that. They got contracted to do a whole bunch of stuff for large government projects in New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, I think even WA. So they sent their specialised big old machinery from France to Australia. And this was about 5 years before I even got to talk to these people. And at that point, we had a problem. Under the France-Australia double tax treaty, substantial equipment like a digger or something like that is considered something called a permanent establishment, which is a taxable presence in Australia of a foreign company. There were over 300 of these pieces of machinery in Australia at various times, and each one was a separate piece of business that should get its own ABN, very technically under the treaty, and big what the fuck do we do with this? So we had to start by cataloguing every single piece of substantial equipment that was in Australia in use for more than 6 months at a time. It can even include some broken periods of, say, 3 months, 1 month off, and then 3 months on again. Had to catalogue all of this stuff, had to get a valuer to cut up the contract and ascribe value to what those machines did, which is kind of a bizarre exercise itself. But we did all this, and then we had to actually speak to the ATO as well, because we said, hey, we can go and get 300 ABNs if you want for this foreign company, but that's kind of dumb. And even though it's not quite right, the ATO said, yeah, look, just get one and put all the stuff under there. Let us have a look at the work papers before you lodge it, and then it'll be fine. There was also another matter for a foreign registered company doing construction payments. They withhold, I think, like 5%. There's some really specific withholding thing. So throughout this matter, somebody picked up that on these invoices, amounts were being withheld from these large contractors. Those amounts added up to a few $1,000,000. These were pretty big contracts, pretty big payments, and this company kind of didn't know what was going on. So when they saw like withholding, they said, oh, that's fine. That's just normal. But that was an unclaimed credit. So on one hand, they had to pay a lot of tax and get a lot of advice to make sure that they were paying the right amount of tax. But almost all of it was covered by these withholding payments, which roughly ended up being exactly right. So the compliance stuff is important. Paying the right amount and knowing why it's the right amount is as important as just having amounts paid. Follow for more stories.